Oh, we got another interesting video today. Today I'm actually going to talk about something I never knew existed, because I've never really traveled to that side of China. I never really did my research or did a video on this before or anything about that side. So today is going to be a very interesting video. This is a dynamic region in southern China that involves several major cities and special administrative regions, forming like an integrated economic and business hub. The development of this area is part of China's broader strategy to create a world-class city, like a cluster that can rival other global Bay Areas like San Francisco, Tokyo, and New York. This is the Greater Bay Area. But how exactly does it work? How is it going to boost the economy? And what difficulties will have to be overcome? So anyway, ni hao, I'm Lizzie and welcome back to another interesting and very informative video. Let's go. Wealth and power are distributed to just a few small regions. Like for example, in the US, 37 out of 75 of the highest earning places are all up like between Boston and DC. And when you trace the coast down the US, you will find the rich and powerful, where China is really no exception. We got the capital city, which is Beijing. We got the financial center, which is Shanghai. And then we got the high-paced innovation, which is Shenzhen. So Shenzhen, Macau, Hong Kong, and several other cities in China all are part of the Pearl River Delta. But it's not just about individual cities. It's really about connectivity and seamless integration of these cities. The Greater Bay Area is investing heavily in infrastructure, including high-speed rail, bridges, and tunnels, which we know China is really famous for and have exceeded a lot. But this is all to create a well-connected network that facilitates the flow of talent, of goods, of information. This physical connectivity is really a key factor in this Greater Bay Area's success. One of the most wealthiest parts of China and the most important to the world economy is this area. This is just some of the most busiest container ports in the world. You know, it's where your iPhone comes from, and it is where it will eventually end up. Like these few cities with Macau and Hong Kong are also the most disconnected domestically. And this is a big problem as they are so close together. And they all play a part in China's economy, the success, and also the success of their own countries in Hong Kong and Macau. You know, they need permits to cross the borders into the mainland and also vice versa. China plans to integrate all these cities with each other into one Greater Bay Area. So this is the eventual goal. The Greater Bay Area, or also known as the GBA, is a powerhouse of innovation, economic growth, and cultural diversity. It's not just a collection of cities. It's really a vision, a strategy, and a blueprint for the future. But this all is not just really to ease business. There's also other hidden motivations for China. Like the train from Hong Kong to Futian Station in Shenzhen only takes 14 minutes. But in these 26 kilometers, almost everything changes. So yes, it is amazing to have the flexibility, the comfortability of having these high-speed trains. But if you cross borders, especially into mainland China, it can complicate a lot of things. So these are where the problems come up a little bit. Like for example, the outlets that you use. Like just a small example, the outlets that you use go from British outlets to Type 1 outlets that you'd use in Australia. Things like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube suddenly stop working thanks to the Great Firewall. The Hong Kong dollar becomes the Chinese yuan. All this because of Hong Kong's unique and complicated history. So just a little bit of background. UK withdrew from the territory in Hong Kong in 1997. Then after, Hong Kong was kind of returned to China. Well, not kind of, it was returned to China. But obviously, as we know, with some special circumstances, Hong Kong was given their own constitution and legal systems, same as with Macau, where Portugal and China signed like a joint declaration on the question of Macau. So this really kind of separates the countries a little bit more, and they're just not all part of China's rules, China's government, for example. So all of this is pretty complicated, right? With it all being so close to each other kilometer-wise. But with 3 different governments comes 3 different economies. For a region that is so dependent on trade and tourism, traveling between these cities is remarkably complicated, like you can imagine you just heard. Like for example, going from Hong Kong to Shenzhen, China, you'd have to go through immigration and customs. On the other side of Hong Kong, the bridge connects to Macau and mainland China in Zhuhai. This is the longest sea crossing in the world. So I feel like China and Macau and Hong Kong, they have everything in place. They have the high-speed rail, they have this longest bridge, and everything is so close to each other. So I do feel like, implementing something like the Greater Bay Area, trying to uncomplicate things just a little bit to make the economy more successful, to make business just a little bit easier. It's literally, this bridge is literally called the Hong Kong-Macau Zhuhai Bridge, which by the way cost $19 billion. But anyway, this bridge is surprisingly quiet. Like you would think so many people go from here to there and use this amazing bridge, but not really. Like back in 2018, 36 million traveled to Macau or mainland China, but only 1 million of these 36 million people use this bridge. So this, I think, is a bureaucratic nightmare because all 3 places have different laws and regulations. All 3 have different insurance policies with the vehicles they use. So that just complicates it more. Even different insurance policies with the cars. The bridge is in mainland waters, which means they have to suddenly drive on the right-hand side of the road, then change back on the left-hand side when they enter Macau. Because in China, we drive on the right-hand side of the road, but in Hong Kong, they don't do this. So they all have to change. It might seem so small, but just imagine having to drive on your left-hand side all the time, then suddenly go to right, and then when you go to Macau, drive on the left again. It is just a recipe for disaster and accidents, if you ask me. But anyway, not just that, the tolls as well, the toll gate, you have to pay in Chinese yuan. So imagine crossing a bridge, you need a different visa, you need a different permit, lane change, and insurance policies. Not that convenient. Business is big. Doctors, lawyers, and investors are actually often blocked from doing business across borders, despite the economic potential that they have to do business across the borders. The CCP first announced this Greater Bay Area in 2016, and really there was a series of steps to connect these cities and make use of their vast differences. Macau will continue to be the, Las Vegas of the East, and Hong Kong, which is a global intermediary, allowing foreign firms to invest in China and for Chinese companies to have access to the wider world. Did you know, in Shenzhen, there are some of the biggest companies, including Tencent, BYD. Then you got Guangzhou, the capital of Guangdong province, and also the administrative and political center. And connecting all the parts of the cities is just the first step of the plan. Like we got the train ferry from Hong Kong to Shenzhen, and we got the Zhuhai Bridge that brings Macau into the action as well. As the cities become more and more linked together, wealth will also spread outward. Many companies are investing across the border in anticipation of this plan. Some cities will benefit more than others, like it is in the whole world, but with 70 million people, there will be plenty of workers in the surrounding areas. Obviously, with a project as big as this, there will be some concerns. Because like we talked before, you are allowed to get on the train in Hong Kong, but you need to pass mainland immigration. So there is a portion of that route owned and managed by mainland laws and authorities. There obviously is a lot of tension between these countries, but then again, China doesn't just build walls, they also build bridges, which helps a lot of countries. So China isn't just all about China, let's help China. China does also help other countries then in return to help them. So it's kind of a win-win situation. So it's just unlikely that either country would risk raising the tensions any further between each other. Political unity and economic growth are China's highest priorities. So some are for this because, like for Hong Kong, it is what makes their home great as they kind of function independently. And some just say that the Greater Bay Area doesn't fundamentally change its relationship within the regions. Some actually just say that this is how freedom is slowly lost. So, of course, with a project this big, I think a lot of people will agree, a lot of people won't agree, a lot of you watching agree with this plan. Also, a lot of you watching will not agree with this plan. Anyway, it will be interesting to know if you do agree with the plan, great. If you don't agree with this plan, maybe if it's okay, let me know in the comments why you don't agree with this plan. But anyway, the world, is moving towards an automation-based economy. It is said that this Greater Bay Area will need to invest in some highly skilled workers to maintain its advantage over already millionaires in this area. And also just the quality of power supply already in the Greater Bay Area, more than 19 power highways have been built. The power transmissions are so high. So it is really just improving step by step. Let's finish this step, finish the next step. Because obviously it's not just easy to be like, okay, let's connect these three countries together and boom, voila, everything's perfect. No. So I do like this plan. I think, what makes an economy grow is business, essentially, and crossing borders is making business harder, like I mentioned about the doctors, the lawyers, the investors. So just making this a little bit easier. There will be business in more regions, not just in China, but also in Hong Kong, where China has access then to the wider world. So I do agree with this. But anyway, as we wrap up our exploration of the Greater Bay Area, it is clear that this dynamic region is not just a geographical concept, it's a breathing testament to China's commitment to innovation and global collaboration. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the GBA. I did. It was very interesting for me to do research about this, and I hope in the future we just see more and more improvement, more business doing, more economies growing, just more success all around. But anyway, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, so you can see the best of Lizzie. Anyway, leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.